Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to CuePoints, the mobile DJ podcast. My name is Anthony. Alongside me is co-host Will.
What's going on, man? How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
You know, not too shabby. It's currently May 29th.
Yes,
This is our 12th show. And you want to know what happens on our 12th show? My headphones keep going in and out, so I'm barely hearing.
Oh,
it's
geez.
all right, though. We're going to make it through. It seems to be good now. So what's going on, man? Coming off Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, busy weekend we just had. Wow.
Yeah, you worked a lot. You pulled a... Now, I know a lot of people, be like, oh, it's a double. It's no big deal. Tell them about the double you did.
Yeah, no. Sunday was tough. We had a triathlon in the morning. We got there at like 4 o'clock.
A.M., guys. 4 a.m. They had to be there.
And
it was out east.
Everything got started at 6. But we were doing a photo booth and the DJ setup.
So it's a little bit different with the triathlons because, we have to set up, it's basically PA. It's not so much a DJ like a party, but we need to make sure there's proper PA.
Yeah, it's more so for announcements and just background music for the most part.
Yeah, but it was, so you got there at 4
It was
in the
like
morning.
5 hours once it started.
Yeah, it was pretty
and then
long day.
another hour at the end packing up. So it was a long morning. And the night before I had an event, so no sleep.
Yep.
And then I had a nap for like 2 hours after the triathlon and then went to do a Sweet 16.
Yeah, no sleep till Farmingdale, baby. And you guys killed it. You had a nice big setup for that too. Good staff. But
we definitely killed it over there. Everybody was super
I owed
happy.
you a big one. I was actually out of town, so I was in Delaware while
Yeah, that was the first time I think
ass.
that you really had us out while you were away.
Yeah, it was a little stressful for me, I'll be honest with you, being that not that I don't trust you guys, but like when there's certain, technological problems and I'm not there, it could be a little annoying.
Yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking.
But you guys killed it. I already spoke to the mom. She couldn't have been happier. So another crazy weekend in the books, and we're just getting started, man. I mean, this summer is already getting out of control, and we're not even in June. But I can't believe we're almost in June already. I mean, this coming weekend is June.
Yeah, this year is going by so fast. We're keeping so busy, which is good.
I mean, it's already half the year is already gone.
Yeah.
I feel like 2019 just started. It's scary, dude.
It's amazing.
It's crazy how fast. And now, 2020 and 2021 are already booking up. And it's just like, where is the time going? But as long as sales stay strong, events stay strong, we'll just keep on.
And we have a solid team with us.
We do. It's ever growing, looking for some new people. So hopefully that'll.
Yeah, anybody in the area.
Yeah.
If you need any DJ work.
If you need DJ work and you're a decent guy and your head isn't stuck in your ass from having an ego, which is all of us, and you're looking for work, call us.
You know where to find us.
You know us to find us every
CuePointsPodcast.com.
That's right. So I had an interesting idea for this segment, and Anthony wasn't really too clear about it. So I was and I wasn't even too clear about it. So Anthony has his own company other than working with me at Enjoyable Entertainment called Leading Arts Entertainment.
That's right.
So it's still in its early development phases. You're definitely off the ground. But it's you would say it's still in like phase 1, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty focused on working with you, and I'm not really like putting that much time into my own company anymore. It's been an entity for like 6 years.
Okay.
And more recently, we've been doing like weddings and Sweet 16s.
So you're moving up.
Used to be solely focused on like backyard parties, like graduation parties and communions and things like that, which we still do. But
I think there are a lot of people though in this area and in the mobile DJ community that this is what happens. They they do it for a little bit and then they're like, I want to do it on my own, and so they start their own company. But I feel like a lot of them don't have the proper guidance or don't know kind of what direction, and it's very easy to spend a lot of money and not get anything from it.
Yeah.
With all these different websites and Google AdWords, everything like that. So it's really kind of like picking and choosing, where you think, what will help you the best. So, like Leading Arts, where'd you get the name from?
Actually, I wanted to start the company with my cousin Lucas.
Okay.
So originally it was L.A. Lucas Anthony Entertainment.
Okay.
And I don't know, he just wasn't really into the mobile stuff. Like we were talking about photography and graphic design. It was supposed to be like a full service thing. And I really just got into the DJing. So I wanted to keep the LA. So I was just thinking names, and leading arts
And it
popped
came
into
to-
my head, and I was like, this works.
Well, listen, I'll tell you this much, and people will tell me I'm wrong, but I guess it's on a case-by-case basis. But I've had a partner in the past in other companies and other ventures I've done. Sometimes it's just better to be on your own. You know what I mean? Especially if you're going to just focus on DJ work for the most part, you can handle that.
Yeah.
Until you get so big where, it's like, all right, I need like, a general manager just doesn't cut it anymore. I need someone who's fully, because that's basically the difference between a GM and someone who's, a partner, is basically their investment in the company. You'll always have people, there will always be workers and employees that will treat the company like their own, like you do for me. But those are very far and in between. It's much easier for someone to be fully invested if they're actually getting a larger piece of the pie.
Right.
That's how most people are. But I think that was the right decision for you. It ended up working out where you don't have to worry about someone else right now.
Yeah, from the building aspect, I was really trying to build the business and get the clientele, and I think doing it on my own was definitely the better choice.
So when you say you built it, you started building on your own, what steps and what protocols did you kind of give yourself, as a first-time entrepreneur?
See, when I started, I was very lucky. My mom was in the PTA with the local school district, so I got a lot of work with the schools. I did a lot of their dances, and then the parents would be there, and they would see me, and they'd book me for birthday parties and communions and things like that. So that's mostly where a lot of my business came from.
Listen, man, it's always a huge thing. Anyone that that can kind of, I've had that too. I've gotten schools before because I've had a family member that was a teacher at the school or someone involved in the PTA to a higher degree. So schools are awesome.
Yeah, it's a great connection to have.
And the great thing about schools is they can be residual, and hopefully, because the biggest part is like, let's say, someone becomes the PTA president in, their kid's in first grade. You just need to really hope and pray that when their kid gets to 5th grade and graduates, they hand your number to that next incoming president.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing. Now, the other issue, however, is that as good of a client as a school can be, unfortunately, they do, fall short sometimes because they don't usually have a large budget. So I've unfortunately lost clients over the years just because someone came in and lowballed me so hard that it wasn't even worth.
That's what happens with schools. They're
I can't
always
say
looking
it wasn't
for
worth it,
the
but,
cheapest option.
I can't not make any money and send someone out on graduation weekend.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. And they'll always, the biggest thing people always say, and it's true at certain levels and for certain events, but like, well, you'll get a lot of exposure. Yes, you will get exposure. But it depends what stage you're at and what stage you're actually presenting. If, tomorrow the New York Jets called me and said, hey, we want you to DJ, but we're not really looking to spend a lot of money. That might be something that, I would be ventured into.
Yeah, that would
because
definitely be
that's a
something
huge
to think about.
platform. You know what I mean? You're talking about a big name, Fortune 500 company, a lot of people.
Humongous stadium.
Exactly. But for me to go to, a corner elementary school, with 50 kids and like, could I book something? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But sometimes
it just may not be worth it.
It may not be worth it.
Doing the cheaper work.
Right.
And we've talked about this before. You always want to think long term.
Right.
Don't go for that quick $50 when there could be more money to be made in the future.
Exactly. And the other thing is, I don't ever want to send out someone that's not going to do to the best of their ability. My guys all make decent money. You will find people that are paying guys $20 an hour or something like that, and they're sending them out with a laptop and some monitor speakers. And you don't want to do that, and I will never do something like that. So I'd rather not take a job than do a bad job. That's always how I've been. Because it's crazy now. I never thought I'd be at the point where I turn down work, but I do, because if I can't do it to our full capacity, I won't do it. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I think for leading arts entertainment, I'm still in, the spot where I need to take on work.
Which isn't a bad thing.
I'm not really, I can't turn down work yet because, I'm not making enough or anything.
Right.
Because I haven't invested enough into it yet to not get anything, not get my return investment. So
what would you say is the next step for leading arts as far as I know like you've said you've let it take a little bit of a backseat. And don't get me wrong, I don't want you going nowhere. But I'm just it's more so for the people out there that are listening that are in their early process and what they're doing with their own company. What would you say that you would want to do next?
Yeah, for people who are in the same boat or just starting their companies, I would say, you should really shoot to be a multi-op. I love being a single op. It's awesome. I book a gig, I meet the client, I go out and do it.
Right.
So it's all one man.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're really looking to make money in the industry, you need to have a team, a group of people that you could send out. So definitely invest in your equipment. Don't just have one rig that you send out. Have multiple rigs.
I like that because it's true. You always have back. We've talked about always having backup equipment. Always having
And depending on who is working for you, they may have their own setup.
Right.
And I know that's what we do sometimes.
Right.
But you can't always expect who you hire to have their own setup.
And if you do, then they
could be an awesome DJ and just not have any sound equipment.
Sure.
So you need to be able to send them out with something.
Right. No, 100% correct. But it's just, and the other thing is, I know a lot of people, the first thing they want to do when they open up their corporation or their LLC or whatever they're doing, they go blow a bunch of money on credit cards or whatever like that, and they buy all this fancy equipment. I do know people that have done that. Problem is they don't have a clientele.
Yeah.
So now they're paying interest and all this expensive money on $10,000 worth of speakers and DJ equipment that they just bought, but they don't have income coming in.
Investing in the equipment is just as important as investing into your marketing. And,
right.
Like how you get your business.
How I did it was, and we've talked about this I think on the first show. When I started Enjoyable Entertainment, all I had from my prior ventures was 2 JBL JRX 100s unpowered with a Crown amp. And every week that I would have work, I would take the money and I would get something that we needed. And eventually I got a pair of Eons, so I got rid of the Crown amp, and then I got better, I got a nicer facade, and it was from there. But I wasn't dumping, this massive amount of money, into something that I didn't have a clientele, right. Because it's different than other ventures. Because there's other things where you can, invest $50,000 and you already have a decent stake. But you're talking about people's events. So it's definitely a little different. I mean, granted, if you came in and you said, all right, I have this company that wants to hire me every week, that's one thing. But when you're talking about, doing private events for the most part, the safest way. Because, listen, if you have the money to blow, Godspeed, go do it. But to be on the safer side and make sure you're protected, I'd say, gradual.
I definitely agree with that, yeah.
Has there been any type of advertising or anything that you've done for Leading Arts?
Most of my advertising is all on social networks.
Okay.
Like, I'm a member of a lot of the school groups, like the moms.
And what will you put in there?
And the parents are all on. So usually I just sort of sit back and wait until I see something about an event, and then I'll put my 2 cents in.
Okay.
So at least they know, we have a DJ in the group.
Right. That's smart.
So it's just being there, being seen, I think is the most important thing.
Have you ever tried any of those websites like Gigmasters or Thumbtack?
When I first started, I was on Thumbtack, and I got 3 parties from them.
Okay.
And it was awesome. I had the 5-star ratings. It was awesome.
Yeah, but I think I still have 5-star 54 reviews on there. I still have a lot of reviews from.
But after a while, I didn't really see any major growth from it. Yeah. I was able to get more work through the schools and the local parents and things like that.
I will definitely say that, in the beginnings when I first started, Thumbtack was huge. I mean, I think I told you in 20.
Yeah, you were like an ambassador for them, right?
Yeah, in 20, I think it was 2015. I booked 100 parties in 1 year off Thumbtack. I mean, and some of these
That's
clients,
impressive.
It was amazing. And some of I had booked this one $350 backyard DJ in Upper Brookville, and it ended up leading to in that little circle of people that I met, it ended up leading $50,000 worth of work over the next couple of years. And I met, one other person that I did their wedding ended up leading to a partnership where, if I book bands, they would be the band, I would call them. So, I mean, it's just amazing. The smallest little party can truly lead to certain things.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we also spoke about the fact that I stopped using them just because they really became an automated system and it really didn't have the special touches that it did at one time. But those are all great. I did Gig Salad, Gig Masters.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not bad to try out.
Websites like that definitely help.
It was actually ironic. I got a I got a message from Gig Masters like a week ago that apparently my subscription just renewed, and I was charged like $400, and I was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
whoa, I canceled that like a year ago. I usually have kept it just because, and this is something we can also talk about, it's another SEO tool. So it's another thing that, you know, you show up, that's another list on Google.
Yeah, true.
Which is also a great thing. But I did not want anymore. So luckily, the people at Gig Masters were super cool. They refunded me. No issues. But I was like, oh, come on, man. I don't feel like losing that type of money right now.
Yeah.
You know, it was just pain in the butt.
That's a lot to lose if you're not really actively using it.
At all, yeah. But Google can be a great thing. And the biggest thing about Google is it could cost you a lot of money, or it could cost you not a lot of money. You know, you could get your name out there right now and have you at the top every single day, but it's going to drain your bank account. Mm-hmm. You know, what I've done over the years is I put no money into Google. It was just doing the backlinking on the website, you know, making sure people are reviewing you. A great place for people to leave you reviews is on Google. You know, there's no reason that you should not have people reviewing you on Google. It's a huge, huge, awesome thing. And have you used Google at all for reviews or anything like that?
Not really.
No? You should definitely look into that, man. It's been...
I've been approached on numerous occasions by the people who, like, I'm not really sure how to word it. Like, they help you with the SEO.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, they help to bump you up to,
right.
You know, the top of the first page.
Yeah,
but I'd never really wanted any help. I was just like, I'll do it on my own on social networks.
There's a lot of companies
you know?
that will do that, and you know they'll try to help you out and everything like that.
When you have your own website and you're on Yelp and things like that, you don't really need that, because all those websites, like we just mentioned, with Thumbtack and everything, they all already help with SEO.
Right.
So.
No, you're right. So, I mean, like I said, when you're in the beginning phases, I think the best thing to possibly do is conserve your money and, you know, go get your name out there by yourself. Social media, huge. Take good videos. You know, do the right thing by
this
people.
Day and age, it's so important to have content.
Yeah.
Like, you need to take videos or pictures at every one of your parties, especially the large scale ones or the ones that are really lit, having a good time.
Yeah.
Because that's what people are going to see, and that's what, this day and age, what people base their decision on.
And you need to do the right thing by the client.
Right.
You know, no matter what. You know, if something happens and let's say you're doing an outdoor event and, you know, I don't know, one of your speakers blows or something like that, you need to work with people, because honestly, you could ruin someone's event, not on purpose, but you could ruin someone's event and they will still recommend you if you do it the correct way.
I actually had a friend, we don't really talk anymore, but he was doing a party in my neighborhood, and I get a call from him, and he's like, hey, both my speakers just blew out.
Wow.
Is there any way you can lend me your speakers? And luckily I was free that day.
Oh, wow.
So I went over, set them up for him. I hung out for a little bit.
Save the day.
Yeah.
That's a good friend.
Yeah.
That's a good friend.
Well, that's another thing. It's nice to have the friends in the business that could help you out. God forbid anything happens.
Yeah, and that again comes down to the backup equipment. You know, just example, we had a Sunday night Anthony's party. They had a photo booth, and for some reason the printer had a major jam, and it was not something that even my experienced technician, you know, could fix on the fly. It seemed to need more of like a screwdriver and, you know, take apart the hardware a little bit. But luckily, you know, we're at a Sweet 16. We don't have time to do that. There was a backup printer right in the truck. They threw it in, plugged it in, and it was smooth sailing.
Yeah, it's the first thing he asked me. He was like, is there a backup in the truck? And I was like, yes, there is.
Yeah, there always needs to be backup.
He ran
equipment.
Right out. He grabbed it. He brought it in.
You know, backup microphones.
And that saved the day for the most part.
Backup printer, backup speaker. You know, even a backup mixer, you know, is a great thing.
Yeah, if you could afford it.
Yeah,
if you have an extra one.
And again, it comes down to not at first. At first, you know, get the necessities. But even, you know, as a backup, go get an XLR to 8th. And plug it into your iPod.
I've had to do that.
Yeah,
I've actually had to do that.
You know, in a worst case scenario, if you're doing an outdoor party and your mixer, you know, overheats, or your computer overheats, you know,
it happens.
Always have a backup. You know,
it definitely happens.
Have a fan so that doesn't happen.
I was doing a St. Patty's Day race, and I don't know what happened. I think there wasn't enough like power being fed to the controller, and it wasn't working properly. Like it would cut in and out, and there was nothing I could do about it. So I was like, okay, think. So what I ended up doing was I used the 8th to RCA, and I played music through my phone the entire time. Luckily, it was a race, so I didn't really need to mix.
Yeah.
But the background music was there, and then I plugged my wireless mic directly into the back of the speaker. Thank God that speaker had all those hookups.
And that's the great thing.
That's something you should think about.
Yeah, don't get these speakers that have a one type of input thing. Even like the new QSC K12 2s.
At least 3 channels.
They have XLR, they have a second XLR, and they also have 8th.
Yeah.
So it's huge because you never know what you're going to need.
A lot of the XLR ones now have it so that you could
put the
quarter-inch in too.
Which is awesome.
So
listen,
those really come in handy.
You never know what's going to happen. So all I can say is just be prepared, learn from every bad experience, and just keep on keeping on. But Anthony, where can they find us online?
CuePointsPodcast.com. Also, be sure to check the forum on there.
Yes.
Become a member.
Yeah, do it.
Help us out with some ideas. On YouTube, Anthony Garcia DJ Vlogs. That's where we post the video versions. Hello, how are you? And Instagram and Facebook at CuePoints Podcast.
Yeah, every single Wednesday we are here at noon, and there's going to be some big changes coming pretty soon, so something just happened. I don't know what that was, but anyway, we're going to keep on going. It's just, dude, there's so much happening, and I'm really excited to see every week the progression. We're getting a new logo, which is going to be pretty cool. I have to run that stuff by you. I didn't get to tell you about that until now. We're getting there, though, man. So every single Wednesday right here, CuePointsPodcast.com. We've got another segment coming up. So
yes, we do.
We'll be back.
Stay tuned.
Right after this. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Will from the CuePoints Mobile DJ Podcast, and we would love to get your opinion and your take on the DJ world in today's day and age and how much it's changed and everything going on and having to do with the mobile DJ universe. Give us an email at cuepointspodcast@gmail.com and let's get you involved in the conversation. Again, that's cuepointspodcast@gmail.com. We'll speak to you soon. If you're enjoying the CuePoints Mobile DJ Podcast, then you gotta give us a follow. Find us on Instagram and Facebook at CuePoints Podcast for giveaways, product reviews, and so much more. That's CuePoints Podcast on all social media platforms. Check us out.
All right, welcome back to CuePoints, the Mobile DJ Podcast. We were just talking a little bit about how I started Reading Arts Entertainment.
Yeah.
What went into it.
Yeah, and how you're still in. When I said phase 1, I was thinking of like Marvel. Like when they first started out in 08.
Yeah.
Like that. And I still think, I think that's like you're there right now in phase 1. And I don't think that's a bad thing. So
everybody has to start somewhere, and I'm taking a little longer than everyone else because I'm invested in other things.
Right.
But yeah, it just takes time.
That's it, man. And I know we've had some people that have seen the podcast and watch it weekly. One of the biggest things that they've had said to us is that, hey, you guys, I know you talk about a lot of startups and everything, but what about, us big guys, they've been around 30 years. And like to you guys, I say, good job, man. You guys have been around 20, 30 years in an industry that, is ever changing. So if you're still around now and you haven't faded out, that means that you've listened.
You've been doing something right.
You've been listening because you compare 2015 to 2020. You're in a whole different ballgame. I think you compare 2010 to 2015 again. Not only is music always changing, the equipment's always changing, technology's always changing, and biggest thing that a lot of other factors also change are trends, different trends. So
like maybe not like the last 5 years, but maybe the last 10 years, social networks weren't that big. So,
right.
It was nice to have the content for your website or your catalog or your brochures or whatever. But now we're in a time where everyone's going to social networks to sort of see what you're about, see what you do. So generating that content for your clients to see ahead of time is very important.
Yeah, and there's so many people I meet in just networking in general, not necessarily in the DJ world. We're probably better at it than most. But biggest thing, honestly, for me, is if you have a website, it needs to be mobile friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Most people's websites are not mobile friendly. Do you know how hard it is on an iPhone, to try to zoom in just to get to your services page? I'll tell you right now, 8 out of 10 people aren't going to do it. 100%.
Yeah, if you have to do extra work, that's going to turn people away.
You have to make things.
It's got to be easily accessible.
People are lazy. People don't like to do things, that they don't. So if you want to get the business,
to that. I don't like doing extra work to try and find something.
You're one of many, though.
Yeah.
I mean, most people don't. I don't feel like doing that. Look at Amazon. It is running every major, mom and pop store in the areas away. Because why should I get up when I could go on Amazon and I could one day ship for free?
Yeah.
I even felt bad. I was at a networking meeting like 2 weeks ago, and I was speaking with a printer. And we were talking about, having step and repeats made, the backdrops for the photo booths and, for different red carpet events. And I was explaining to him that, I'm a big believer in shopping local. But I can only shop local, if it makes sense. I need to be able to, to save money, right. Where I can. When if it's a couple dollars here and there, I'm always going to go, I'd rather go to my local electrician, to buy equipment, my wholesale, outlet than go on Amazon. Unless he doesn't have it. That happened to me a couple weeks ago where I needed a certain outlet and they didn't have them, and I didn't have them for weeks. Finally, I found them on eBay and I bought a bunch. But getting back to the step and repeat, yeah. I was comparing the prices, and I mean we were talking about a 40% increase, and that was his wholesale price, and I could get it in a day from my company in another country, in another state, still U.S. made, just in another state, and they just had a bigger quantity. When you have a 50,000 square foot warehouse, you can make things a little cheaper than, a guy in the back of an area around here.
For sure.
It's all about that, man. It's all about, day in and day out.
You have to know where to source from.
Yeah. And, I've come a long way myself. I haven't been in the business, 20 years.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to go into next. I sort of want to flip the tables and hear a little bit about you.
WWE style, we're flipping tables everywhere. All right. Well, what do you want to know? By all means, ask away.
So I know we've already heard about like sort of where you started. You were in catering.
Mm-hmm.
You sort of fell into the mobile DJ business.
Mm-hmm.
Once you actually started, what was your main priority? Like,
well, it was basically,
how did you know you wanted to grow?
It was I wanted to make money. I still want to make money. And the only way to do that is just continually be new, and just you're not just selling a DJ, you're not just selling an experience, all right? You're selling time. And time is more precious than anything in this world. Okay? If I'm going to be somewhere, I need to figure out what am I worth? What is my time worth? And should I take it? And now we were talking about before with you, and right now it's not a bad thing to say if something comes in, I need to take it. Me on the other hand, I'm at a point now where we have employees, we have disability insurance, workers' comp. Now we're doing 401ks. So I'm at a higher level where I have to think that if I'm only making $100 or $200 on a gig, I'm not really making $100, $200 because there's rent, there's the insurance for the trucks, there's all these different things that go into it. So, I'm selling a brand, and I'm selling a quality brand that's been around for 5 years. We do about 300 events a year, give or take. We're growing every year, but I've seen a very interesting thing, and I've talked about this a lot of other guys in the industry where, I'm doing, if not the same, maybe less events in certain months, but I'm making, if not 30 to 40% more money because I'm charging more money. I'm charging what we should be charging. That's basically what happens. When you're first starting out and you're a year in and you can't charge, $1,000, $1,500 for a one man. It's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
You're not gonna. It's not gonna happen at all.
They'll see what you are.
Right.
They'll see what you have. That's not worth that much.
But if you can sell it, in a certain way where, they're called. I almost, when people come in, I don't want people, especially with weddings, I don't want people to think that I'm groveling at their feet for the work. It's almost like, it's a two-way street. I want to make sure I can work with you. And I've talked about this with plenty of other guys in the industry about that. And I want to make sure that you're a right fit for, our clientele.
Right.
If I can tell someone's going to be a really problematic client, I might not want to take that client. because no matter how hard I work to make them happy, they're not going to be happy. You know, and in this day and age with reviews and everything, and online,
it's very
social media,
important to have a happy client.
we have Facebook groups, that are specifically for weddings and stuff like that. You need to be careful, and you want to make sure that you always know what you're getting into. And so, where I'm at, it's basically finding the right proper investments. What makes sense? What makes sense to rent? What makes sense to buy? I've always bought things, for about 95% of the things that we offer, I own myself. There are certain things that I won't buy because it changes the equation too much where it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So that's kind of where, I see the investment portion going to. There's a lot of guys that spend a lot of money on advertising. I don't want to do that. Advertising's great. I really do think that, I could probably get a lot more business by advertising. But I already have a lot of business, and we're still growing.
While we're on the topic, when you were first starting out, what was sort of your advertising mission?
In the beginning, I knew I didn't have a lot of money to spend. If I made $500 on a one man, it went back into, I bought new covers or something that I needed. You know what I mean? So that was always a big thing. But as far as advertising goes, I had the Thumbtack, the Gig Salad, the Gig Masters, Facebook, I was putting stuff out in there. I had a couple schools and everything, but I never really spent money on Google or Yelp, who likes to call me every week, still calls me.
I get those calls too.
Yeah, I fight with them.
Yelp, if you're listening,
stop
calling
Bro, real
people.
Quick, stop calling me.
Stop calling people. It's so annoying.
No, actually, I can vividly remember, it was probably about 6 months ago, and guy from Yelp called me, and I tried to politely tell him I wasn't interested, but he wouldn't take no for an answer. I ended up screaming at him in the middle of aisle 13. I'm trying to pick up some motor oil or something, or it's just some 1/4 inch little washer nuts, and I'm like, dude, I'm hanging up on you right now. Don't ever call me again. And the same thing now I just got a call the other day. I was actually talking to someone else in the industry the other day because the Better Business Bureau called me. And they were like, you have met our qualifications for being in business for X amount of years and all this stuff. And I've heard of that. I'm sure you've heard of the Better Business Bureau.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm talking to somebody else in the industry, and I'm trying to figure out if it's worth it or not, because it was $500 or $600 for the year. It's not exactly a little bit of money, but it's also is it worth it,
It's sort of just like a seal of...
It's a seal of approval. But then I thought about it. And it was a great point that he made. And he says, when's the last time you went on the Better Business Bureau before booking something? That was a great question.
That's true.
Because you know what? In 2010, bet your ass you probably would have. Or someone uses the Better Business Bureau.
I feel like it's more so when you're looking at different companies, if you see that they're a part of the Better Business Bureau,
they more so the seal than they actually go.
You may trust them more if you see that seal.
Right.
But you're not going to go to their web. Well,
some people would though. If
maybe some people do, but I don't know anybody who will actually go there and look for.
But in 2019, they might not. But 20
because there's so many other outlets to find.
Hold on, you remember how many people in 2005 were spending thousands of dollars a month in the yellow pages?
Yeah.
And the white pages?
Yeah.
Who spends that now? Same thing.
Not a lot.
Of people are in the Penny Saver. Nothing against the Penny Saver. They're actually doing a really good job right now of converting to really being an online marketing company. But again, same thing. A lot of money a month. And, I wasn't seeing the clientele that I wanted wasn't there. I don't want to spend $1,000 a month and get $400 DJs. That doesn't make sense for me. I can't afford to be taking work like that. So it's really about putting my money in the right spots that I wanted to. And for the most part, that was, either direct campaigning to a client, like a Thumbtack type of thing, or not advertising at all and just doing a decent job and making sure that everything was done properly and letting the work flow into the next job.
Right, because ultimately, the major source of where you get your clients is word of mouth.
Right. And the clients themselves. I've done a very good job at finding residual clients. Everyone, listen, I love weddings. Give me a wedding any day of the week. It'll be fine. But weddings aren't my clientele. My clientele is corporate.
Right.
And, and these residual accounts, because although a wedding is great, you're probably not going to get a party from that wedding if you do get a party from that wedding, for 3 years when it's the first birthday of the kid.
Right.
Or they have an anniversary party or something like that. However, the clients that I go after, they have, 4 to 5 events a year. Different types of events.
Like here at LIU, they do things year round.
Exactly.
Constantly.
It's things like that. Schools are a great example. High schools, junior highs, elementaries, private school. We have. I was just telling Anthony earlier. We have a school we do every year, and I actually didn't hear from them this year. But it was something that fell into the back of my head. I forgot about. The school, ironically, is on their yearly trip to Israel. And he texts me and goes, "Someone reminded me that we never booked the prom." And it's in a week.
Yeah.
Luckily, it's during the week and we could cover it.
I saw the invite on the calendar and I was like, that's really close. You just found
found out about that? Yeah. It was
crazy.
It was so interesting. And
it's a good thing we were available, though.
Exactly. That's why. And again, it comes down to good staffing.
Never book a prom.
That was probably the hardest thing for me is, and you'll find this out as you grow, is getting to the point where you're booking these higher end events that you have so many moving parts at and you not being there. And, like this past weekend, Anthony was running the show and there was a lot of moving parts. And I was out in Delaware, and
I did have to
believe
call you
me,
a couple times
I was stressed, but you had 95% of it down. You left early. We put additional staff on the event because for the most part, I would say if there's 5 stages between beginner and like MVP, been doing it for 20 years, guys. I'm like in the middle of phase 3. You know what I mean? Like I've got a successful company. I'm employing good people and everything like that. But we're still at a point where there's so much room to grow. I never want to hit the ceiling because if I hit the ceiling, that means I can't expand anymore.
I don't think there is a ceiling.
But some people,
or maybe a glass ceiling.
Yeah, exactly. I always want to keep shattering it. Keep moving up. Keep doing the right thing, and because all that means is I'm going to make more money, you're going to make more money, we're going to have more people on staff, doing more events. So the fact that, it went smoothly, and we've done events like that before, but this was probably one of the first times where I was actually out of the state. Like, there's always been times where it's like, all right, if you really needed me, I could get there in an hour. I could make it, I could, maneuver things around.
Right.
But there was no shot in hell that I could have made it. By the time
I could tell you were a little nervous because you kept calling.
Yeah, I wanted to just make sure.
Are you guys done?
Yeah.
Are you guys there?
I just wanted to make sure
we got this.
that everything was, all said and done.
I understand because I actually went to Florida, I think it was 2 years ago. I went to Florida and I had a wedding reception booked. It was sort of a small scale thing, so I wasn't too worried about it. I sent 2 friends of mine. Mm-hmm. I went over everything with them the night before. I taught them how to set everything up. I taught them how to use the controller. I showed them where all my music was. Can you guys handle it? Yes. Okay, cool. So I'm in Florida at the beach, and I'm like, if you guys need me, either you can call or FaceTime. I'll help you as best as I can. They FaceTime me. I'm like, yeah, that goes there, that goes there. I'm helping them as much as I can. And I thought it went well. That's what I thought.
Uh-oh.
So I never heard back from the client, which I thought was a little weird. I reached out to see how everything was, didn't hear back. And then one of my friends who I sent showed me a video of it, and he's like, oh, look, it was so much fun. And the music was like the tempo was at the lowest setting the entire party.
Oh my God.
And I was like, you didn't realize? Oh my God, my blood was boiling.
So you mean people were going, we all having a good time out there?
Yeah. And they didn't notice.
Oh my God. You know what though, at the same point, why didn't no one say anything at the party? Did you ever get in contact with that client?
Nope.
Wow.
Never.
And what did we learn from that experience?
Definitely to go over things in more depth. I probably should have picked someone who had experience.
That might have helped. Check your tempo.
I mean, I love those friends that I sent, but that could have been bad.
A good skill. That
could have been bad for my name.
Yeah, it could have been really bad for your name. You're lucky it didn't get bad.
Yeah.
One thing that I always do, and not necessarily with DJ, but movie nights, photo booths, stuff like that, is I'll have them come over. Not the day before, by the way. That was ballsy of you. I'll do like a week before.
Well, I was already in Florida for a couple of days, but the day before I left is when I showed them
Gotcha.
everything.
But normally what I'll do is I'll have them set up from soup to nuts without me. then break it down, do it again, and then, you know, because, like, especially with the photo booth, there's always going to be troubleshooting things that you're not going to plan on happening. But as much as I can get them to understand it without me there, you know, and I won't normally send someone out, like, on a photo booth or a movie night by themselves until, like, the second or third time.
Right.
Like, I want them to really get used to it first, get into the rhythm.
Yeah, no, this was a simple, regular DJ, very minimal lights. Shouldn't have been anything to worry about.
Wow.
But the tempo sliders were all the way down.
And, dude, these are all things,
How
you know,
did
you learn
guys
as you
not
go.
notice?
I mean, there's no excuse for that. There's literally no excuse. Not on your end, on their end. But,
And I called the venue ahead of time to make sure they had Wi-Fi, so that if the clients had any requests, you know, they could use my Spotify,
Right.
get the song on. The Wi-Fi wasn't working.
Oh, man. Dude.
It was just a disaster, man.
Well, listen, we like to leave those things in the past, but learn from them.
You know, it probably would have went a little better.
I would hope so.
That makes
I would certainly hope so.
That makes me feel, you know, upset that I wasn't able to
that's kind of what I was
deliver,
getting back to with the whole Delaware thing with this weekend was I was you know, able to give the rate of satisfaction that I would have wanted without me even being in the state. That takes a lot of time. Because, you know, it's not every day you can find people that will do just as good of a job as you and will show
I've been
up
working
early.
with you for like a year and a half.
Yeah, it's been a year and a half. Yeah,
and this is the first time that you've set me on something.
Right.
Like,
and I can vividly remember other things, but again, I was within a call,
right.
or I was within, you know, a 20-minute, 30-minute drive.
You would have been able to come if I needed anything.
And honestly, it was more so, and I've had you do the triathlons before, but this is the first one where I've sent you guys out like 3 a.m. style without me, and like you had multiple moving parts again. And then to do the second part, it was you guys definitely earned your keep this weekend, and I'm very gracious for that.
Thank you much.
And dude, yeah, it was, like I said,
I'm
really
happy
good.
we were able to deliver.
I'm just happy we had a good Memorial Day. I mean, I wasn't here, but I know the weather was good. People made money. People
it was
had
a nice
fun.
weekend.
You know, and you know, I just hope that we have a really good summer. It's going to help everyone's businesses flourish, and get on the fairs coming up pretty soon all around the island, and it's about having fun, man. Because I mean, for the most part,
busy time.
you know, we're busy. You know, everyone else kind of getting off. The kids are off from school, starting soon. You know, we got the prom season in full effect right now, so can't ask for much more. Can't ask for much more than that, man. But see, I told you this segment would work out.
Yeah.
He was
How
so
much time do we
worried.
have left?
We have 2 minutes left.
All
man.
right.
And he was so worried. He's like, I don't know what we're gonna talk about. And I was like, listen, let's do like a little like therapy thing where we just talk
honestly,
about each
we
other.
didn't really have anything planned for this episode.
Hey, man.
We're like, let's just talk about what's on our mind.
And for those guys that watch the show, that have been in the business a long time, and they have critiques of the show, I invite you on the show.
Yes.
I want to invite every one of you on the show because I want to hear what you have to say. We want to hear what you want to have to say. And, you know, the experiences that you've had that have made, you know, what you do a craft. Because, listen, there's a lot of guys that have been in this business 20, 30 years that could talk, you know, audio and lighting up and down on almost anyone that is our age. Because, unfortunately, it's such an easy entry level. You know, I mean, you can go to iDJ Now right now, and for $600, you can get speakers, a two-channel mixer, and a microphone, and you could go do an event tomorrow. But these guys, you know, DB settings, you know, all these important things, you know, how to use an equalizer, and we could go on and on. That's a whole segment itself. So I'm inviting any of the guys out that are watching this.
Yeah, please reach out to us.
That say, you know, it's a young guy show or something like that. I want to hear what you have to say, and anyone else that you have that you think would be a good person to come on. 60 seconds, Anthony. Tell us where they're going to find us, what's going on with us.
Come on down to CuePointsPodcast.com. You can find all of our stuff there. We are on social networks, Instagram and Facebook at CuePoints Podcast. You can find the video version on Anthony Garcia DJ Vlogs. Also, check out my gig vlogs on there.
Yeah, they're very good, and they're mostly from my events lately, and they're still coming out. So every single Wednesday, we are here at noon. We make it no matter what. It's not easy, but we really enjoy it, and we're having a fun time with you guys. And there's going to be more to come pretty soon. We're going to be doing some new things. Production's going skyrocketed, new logos. Everything's going to be new. I'm excited. Are you excited?
I'm so excited.
He's so excited. CuePoints, the Mobile DJ Podcast. Catch us here next week. We'll see you guys then.